masking project. You're going to open the file that you used. We are going to grab the quick selection tool, which is the fourth one down, and click select subject. It's going to do a pretty good job, but I want to double check the selection, so I'm going to now click select and mask. I like the overlay turned on for this picture, but some of you might want to look at it from the onion skin. The overlay has to be selected on the selected area, and the transparency needs to be a little bit lower, or opacity, so that I can see through. And this is where you're going to just do a double take and make sure that everything is selected. So for instance, my thumb is missing, so I'm going to grab my third brush with my plus sign on, and I'm going to paint and select that thumb. Also the finger. There's some part of her chin and her hair that needs to be selected. And I'm using my space bar to navigate around, which is nice because I don't have to zoom in and zoom out every time. And I'm going to come down here, select part of her shoe, take away part of the selection with using the negative, scroll over here, come up, use the plus sign, grab some of her sweats, and then I'm ready to come down to my panel, and I'm going to scroll. And I'm glad this happened because sometimes that dot gets in the way, and I can't see what's down here. There's more stuff in this panel. I'm going to close the panel and open it back up. It kind of resets it. And then I'm going to go to Output Settings, Output 2, and then I'm going to choose New Layer with Layer Mask. So now you notice that your selection has now been separated from the background, but we still have the original picture, which is good. Let's go down to our adjustment panel and do solid color and choose white. So I'm sliding my picker all the way over. White, the code for that is all Fs inside of Photoshop. Actually in Adobe. Click OK and drop this in between the two layers. Okay, we're going to go back to the background copy layer, and we are officially going to choose to grab our type tool. But instead of the regular type tool, I'm using the vertical type tool. So vertical type tool. And I'm going to grab a box or draw a box that has the type going a little bit over the body. And I am going to first choose a color for my font. I'm going to choose black. Click OK. And you want to choose a font style that is thick, that has a lot of space inside, so that you can be clipping your picture into it. So a thinner font does not work for this. You can change the style if there's options of that particular typography family. And I'm going to just start by typing my word. Now, obviously this is way too small, so I'm going to highlight it. Make sure you get all the letters. And you're going to play around until you get to the right size. Alright, I like this. This looks good. It's good. It's not too high. It's not above the head. It's also not off the artboard. And it stays within the frame of the person. So I'm going to set it by moving it using my move tool. And then I'm going to actually move it over a little bit. A little bit of overlapping is good. It creates a little bit more drama. Okay. And because I have letters that have negative space in the middle, I've got to use my layer mask to take that out. So I'm going to come back to my original layer mask, grab my paintbrush, I'm going to set it to black, and then I'm going to erase inside. You might not have to do that. Depends on the letters that you have. Now, if you want to select a layer, then you come up to the layer that you're trying to select, and in our case, we're going to select the letters, and you hold down the Command key and click on the T. It will select that layer for you. And I'm creating a bold white border along these letters. So I'm going to extend my selection out by doing Select, Modify, Expand. And I'm going to set it to 13. So the bigger the number, the bigger the thickness of my selection. Click OK. And now I'm going to go back to my layer mask and click on it one time. And I'm going to hold the Option and the Delete key that has the arrow on your keyboard. And that takes away parts of the mask selection of the person. Command D to turn that off. And I am going to have to put a phrase on here, and I've got a problem. I don't have a lot of space. So this is very important. You want to move every single layer at the same time, including the original picture. So I am going to unlock my background layer by clicking on the lock. I'm going to hold the Shift key and select all four. And with my Move tool, I can move this over a little bit. So now I'm going to have some more space here. Okay, we are ready to put our picture inside of here. I'm going to take my layer 0 and do Command J, turn it off, or turn off the layer 0, but keep this one on. Put it up here. And now I'm going to clip it into the layer below. I did that by holding the Control key down and clicking on the layer and choosing Clip Mask. So now I have part of my picture inside of my word. All right, now we're ready to work on the phrase. I'm going to grab my regular type, horizontal type tool, create my text box, and lower my type size. I would probably lower it to 48 just to start. And start typing your phrase. I'm going to use a different phrase than my sample before. I'm trying to think of what I want to put in here. Okay, my word scene is going to be my bolded letter. That's the word that I want to emphasize. So I went ahead and capitalized those letters. And I am going to definitely increase this and play around with how big I can get this so that it fits just right. So 800 is obviously too big. I meant to put 80. I'm going to play around with 90. And I kind of like how it's offset like that, where the scene is on the bottom. That's fine. You can also adjust the alignment up here. I wouldn't do a centered phrase. I would do more of an alignment to the left or an alignment to the right. This is a real common design technique. And I'm going to go up to my Move tool and just click on it to set this. And I can move this anywhere that I want. And as you're working, if you want to change the size, you're just going to double click on your phrase and just increase the size as you go. So I'm getting to a place where I really like the size. All right, that's good. Now, do remember that every time you click on an artboard with the type tool, you could end up creating a separate layer. So if you have all these extra type layers that you don't need, just go in and clean them up and take them off. Okay, just delete them. I'm going to do the eye for eyedropper and grab the yellow-ish orange, come over down at the toolbar and double click on my color. And this code right here is already highlighted. I just have to copy, so Command C, click OK. And with your type tool, you're going to highlight the bolded word, come up here to the color, and Command V to paste. That color will now move into your color picker panel. Click OK, and now that is colored.